Okay, now let's check additional criteria for availability. So the A1.1, the first principle, the entity maintains, monitors, and evaluates current processing capacity and use of system components, including infrastructure, data, software, to manage capacity demand and to enable the implementation of additional capacity to help meet its objective. What is its objective? Of course, it's make sure all its resources are available all the time. So this principle is emphasizing the entity should be aware of the states of all its resources and make sure they are all available whenever needed and have some backup. So to achieve this principle, what should we do? We have 3 points to consider. The first point of focus measures current usage. So this one is saying the entity should be aware of the situation of all its resources, like the using situation. So only you know how much, how many you have used. Now you can do some mechanism. You can do some backup, and you need to achieve this. You need to monitoring. You need to evaluating. And the next point, forecast capacity. So you now you know the usage situation and like then you need to list some extreme situation, like let's say if a website you have some high traffic, you have some low traffic time. So low traffic time will be okay all the time, but when will be the high traffic time? When will be the high traffic day? So you need to be prepared. You need to forecast and then be prepared and get some extra resources for that. The third point makes change based on forecast. This is saying be prepared based on the former point of focus. Next, A1.2. This principle, the entity authorize, designs, develops, or acquires, implements, operates, improves, maintains, and monitors environmental protection, software, data backup processes, and recovery infrastructure to meet its objective. So this principle is saying what you need to do to achieve the protecting system, to build a system for your availability. So how should we achieve this principle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11 points of focus. The first one, identifies environmental threats. So you need to know what are threatening to the availability of all your resources. So this is part of the risk assessment process. and we can see when you are doing the risk assessment, it's not only the software features. You need to consider the hardware circumstance, the physical circumstance too. Next one, designs detection measures. Design detection measures. So this one is pretty straightforward. detection measures are implemented to identify anomalies that could result from environmental threat events. So you how can you be alerted? You need to have some like a alerted system for any threat and any for the arise of any threat and any hazard. So you need have a method like a methodology to detecting. Next point, implements and maintains environmental protection mechanism. You design, and now next is to implement, and of course you need to maintain. Next point, implements alerts to analyze animal anomalies. Implements alerts to analyze anomalies. Management implements alerts that are communicated to personnel for analysis to identify environmental threat events. So you have designed this mechanism for to detect all the hazard, all the threats. Now you need for like because there are like different types of hazard. You need to have a system like different signs to alert your employee, like no matter who's in charge. Now they can know what kind of hazard we are facing like immediately, so they can have corresponding measures to respond to. Yeah, this is step by step to implement the principle. Acquire, implements, operating, approve, maintain. So this point is how to react, since you have a system to detect you and you know what type of hazard it is. Now you need to respond. You need to have the reaction to solve the issue. Next, communicates and reviews detected environmental threat events. Communicates and review detected. So you detected, and they are communicated and reviewed by the individuals responsible for the management of the system, and action are taken if necessary. So you have built a system to detect and respond. Like now you are solved. It's solved, but after you solve the issue, how can you like during this process, what problem, like what challenge you have been facing? You need to know about that, so next time you can do a better job. That's the point of this point of focus. Next one, determines data requiring backup. Data is evaluated to determine whether backup is required. So availability, we need we talked about the traffic. We need to have a plan B for high traffic day, and now when we are doing the backup, like the backup database for our current information, current data set, like which part is the most important? We have to prioritize. So this is the point of this focus. Next one, performs data backup. After you have prioritized the importance, now you need to do the backup. Procedures are in place for backing up data, monitoring to detect backup failure, and initiating corrective action. when such failures occurs. Yeah. So you determine which is important, more important, then you do backup. Then you have measures in place, and when you need it, you can uh, make an action. Now, this point addresses offsite storage. So, backup data is stored in a location at a distance from its principal storage location, sufficient that the likelihood of security of environmental threat event affecting both sets of data is reduced to an appropriate level. So this one is saying you when you do backup, like there are the situation I'm consider for this point of focus is when we are saying we are doing a backup this site, at least we have a whole copy on another cloud, another even same cloud but another zone. So when this zone is done, then we have a backup in another zone. But what if the whole system is broken down from the internet, and now we need to access some system locally, at least, right? Some core system. So we need in the step of determining data requiring backup, we need to know their part of data. We have to have a backup locally. So even we are facing challenges with internet connection, we can access uh, some very important sites, some systems. So address offsite storage. Next one implements alternate processing infrastructure. Measures are implemented for migrating processing to alternate infrastructure in the event normal processing infrastructure becomes unavailable. Measures may include geographic separation, redundancy, and failover capacity for components. So this point implements alternate processing infrastructure. It's still it's a like it's a repeat point of focus of before of the former points. Like for this point, we are talking we need to have some backup data locally or something, like not when we are facing internet connect issue. So this one is saying this one is talking about the processing capacity. Like how can we deal with some data processing? Do we still have the ability to deal with some computation if we are facing internet connection issue? So we need to have some alternate processing infrastructure. And next one considers data recoverability. This one is pretty straightforward. If the entity has faced some hazard and they experience some big broken down, how can they recover it? You need to consider how can you recover from the challenge, from the attack. So management identifies threats to data recovery, and that could impair the availability of the system and related data, implements mitigation procedures. So this is a plan. You need to have this plan. Next, the entity tests recovery plan procedures supporting system recovery to meet its objective. So the point before, we talked about recovery procedure. Some points of focus are related to recovery. So this one is saying, after we have this in mind, we designed a recovery plan, and we are able to do the recovery. But before we truly experience a big attack, which we're gonna have to use the whole recovery system. We have to have some test done. So the first, how can we achieve this? There are 2 points. The first, implement business continuity plan testing. So we have done this continuity plan. We need to do test. How to do test? This one is these tests, including 1, 2, 3, 4. The points have list some consideration for us. One, development of testing scenario based on threatened likelihood and magnitude. To consider action of system components from crossing the entity and vendor. That compare 3 scenarios that consider the potential for lack of availability of key personnel of vendors. So this testing might be, I think this one is the one we could have ignored before. Like, we are doing testing that's facing all the bugs, all the situations, but sometimes we need to consider this, like even the people who are maintaining, who's in charge of some system was not here, then how should the rest react to the attack? So this is one of the tests. And the first one, rewarding of continuity plan and system based on test results. So after you done 1, 2, 3, you need to do some revise. Of course, my idea about all the point of focus for trust services criteria now is like they are all suggestions, like to achieve a principle, like an entity can do this, but this does not mean it is like a very complete procedures systems. There might be some missing. So these are all suggestions for us, for entities, for people who are using this guideline. So these points are all advice. We need to try to think even like more detailed. And this one tests integrity and completeness of backup. So this is doing testing to backups, all kind of testing. Next one, additional criteria for confidentiality. So the entity identifies and maintains confidential information to meet entity's objectives related to confidentiality. So this principle, first you need to identify, like since they are principles, they are point of focus for confidentiality. First you need to know what is confidentiality. All the data among the company, the organization, which part is confidential, and then after identify we can do maintain it. So the first point is defines and identifies. Yeah, that's what we are talking about. So procedures are in place to define, identify, and designate confidential information when it is received or created. So when organization start use this guideline to do a risk assessment, or they need to identify like which part, which information is confidential, and not only that, but every time they receive some new info or created some new info, they need to make a decision if this is confidential information. If it is, what measures we should take. If it's not, then maybe nothing, or some potential confidential measures should be taken. Next one, retains confidential information. So yeah, it should be retained for no longer than necessary, fulfill the identity purpose unless a law. So this is like one of the consideration every entity should have, because a lot of law have, like GDPR, they have mandatory requirement for you, like some information you can only some personal information from customer you can only hold for like 3 months, some half year, some 1 year. So you need to check, then decide how long you can retain. Next one, protects confidential information from destruction. Protects confidential from destruction. You identified, you define and identified. Now you have retained, you have stored some confidential information. Now you need to have some corresponding mechanism to protect them. Okay, next principle, C1.2. The entity deposits of confidential information to meet entity objective related to confidence. So now, since you stored some confidential personal information, or maybe not personal, but it's still confidential, this kind of information after the store time, like the legal time, you need to dispose. Then what should you do? 1, 2. You have 2 points of focus here. One is identify. Procedures are in place to identify confidential information requiring destruction. So this one is saying, because the time you receive confidential information, or you start storing confidential information, is different. Of course, then the time they need to be disposed is different. So like today you need to dispose this batch of data, tomorrow you need to dispose that batch. So you need to identify the time, the schedule. You need to have a schedule for that. Next one, destroy. Then today, when it's time for this batch, you need to destroy. How to destroy? You need to check the related policies. You need to have your own procedure and policies in place to automatically or manually destroy all the information. Next one, criteria for PI, processing integrity, over the provision of services, or the production, manufacturing, or distribution of goods. Actually, for the whole processing integrity part, we could check it like in a whole criteria. When I'm reading this part, my thinking process is like this. First, we need to know like Processing integrity. What is this criteria? Like, what is processing integrity? Basically, uh, AI CPA defines this criteria as system processing is complete, valid, accurate, timely, and authorized to meet the entity's objectives. So basically, it's focusing on the inputs and outputs. All these principle PI 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. So like they are emphasizing there should be like no there should be no errors in the whole processing, and if there are errors, they should be detected timely and corrected. Um, Besides processing integrity criteria, this one it's like I said, it covers inputs outputs to the system, and both of them should be accurate throughout the processing. And of course, since there is input, there is output, all two kinds of data, it's related to like how they are stored and maintained. So that's basically this criteria. Now let's check. The first one, the entity obtained generates communicates relevant information regarding related to processing, including definition of data process and product and service, like to support the you. So you need to have some input data, and then to process for your product or for your service. And then uh, you need to have mechanism. You need to have measures in place, like how to safely get them, like how to uh, transmit the info, receive or give them from to your custom from your custom, and including like what kind of data you need to have. You gotta have a clear definition. So the first point of focus identifies function and non-functional requirements and information uh, specification. So you need have requirements for functional, non-functional information. You need to have like clear definitions, like for for the entity to provide this service. Then what kind of data you need to deal with, and for every product you made, every software product you made, then you need to clarify what information you need and how you're gonna use it. Next, defines data necessary to support a product or service. It when data is provided as part of service and product as part of reporting obligation related to a product or service, it gives this point of focus gives for advices the definition and purpose of the data is available uh, to the user of the data. So you need to let your user know, like, what is this data and why we are using the definition of the data, including following information. So what you need to tell the user of the data clearly is population of events and instance included the set of data, nature of each element, like what you are using. Like you have to be very clear, very specific. Like what when you are using, what are they? Like where are they from, and why you are using. So yeah, this one is very specific and detailed. Next point: define information necessary to support the use of good or product. When information provided by the entity is needed to use the good or product in accordance with its specifications, the required information is available. The required information is available to the user of the good or the product. The required information is clearly identified. The required information is valid. So to make a product or certain kind of good, you have some information required. You need to define this necessary to use very clearly. Like you need make it available, and what kind of data it is, and you need make sure you are using the right data too. Next, PI 1.2, the entity implements policy and procedures over system inputs, including controls over completeness and accuracy to result in products, services, and reporting to meet the entity's objective. So this principle is saying you need have policy and procedure to the inputs you are getting, you are taking. So all the policy, including control over completeness and accuracy, to result in product. Blah. It's emphasizing to make the product the very standard, like a very good product you want to make. You need to make sure the inputs is right, is correct, and complete. So how to do this? There are 3 points of focus. 1, defines characteristics of processing inputs. The characteristics of processing inputs that are necessary to meet requirements are defined. Like you need some specific data, and you need mark them. Like I need to process like a schedule for students, and then you need all his courses, ID of courses, time of courses. You need to define these. The next one, evaluates processing inputs. You need check, like before you start put information in your function to process. You need check they are complete, they're right. Next one, creates and maintain records of system. Every time you create something, of course, you need build a disk set, a collection for all the records. Next one, 1.3. The entity implements policy and procedures over system processing to result in products, service, and reporting to meet the entity's objectives. So you need to have policy and procedure over system processing to result in products. How can we do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Define processing specifications. The processing specifications that are necessary to meet product or service requirements are defined. Okay, you again, like you need describe what you are doing, how you are doing clearly. Then you know what you are really doing. Define processing activities. Processing activities are defined to result in product or service that meets specifications. You need that. Maybe you don't need to let your customer know, but at least inside the company, the entity, you need to define this processing activities. You know what you are doing. detect and correct processing product activity errors. So when you get some wrong inputs or you get some wrong outputs, you need to know. You you have to be able to know there are something wrong, and you have the ability to correct. So every time you have some process, you need to have some log to record and process inputs. Like after you have uh, all these preparation in place, now you can start processing, and you need make sure this processing is completely accurate and timely, and of course, it's authorized, it's legally. And PI 1.4, the entity implements policy and procedure to make available delivery output completely accurate and timely in, in accordance with specific to meet intended objectives. So when you have all the correct and complete and the inputs in place timely, now you can start using them and get some outputs. And what you should do, what kind of protection, like what kind of consideration you should have for outputs before you start making them. One, you need to protect them. You can't lose the outputs, right? The data is very private for your custom, or they are very credential. And distribute output only to intended party. You cannot give the credential information to anybody. Only intended parties, legally and related. Distribute output completely and accurately. When you are giving, don't change, don't alter. Give real stuff. Keep the integrity. Creates and maintain records of system output. Every time who gets what information from where, you need to have all the record. So once there is a leak or something, you can know like which step, which part of the system has gone wrong. Next one, PI 1.5, the entity implements policy and procedure to store input items in processing and outcome completely accurate and timely in accordance with system specific to meet entity objectives. So this one is talking about storing of inputs and outputs. You need to store them very safe and don't miss, and make them available whenever you need. So how to do that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Protects stored item. You need to have protection system in place to protect them. Don't let any hacker get them. Any attack. Prevent them from any kind of attack. Next one, achieve and protect system record. Like every time if there are attack, there are intent. There are someone intend to steal, to compromise. You need to know. You need to have the record. Next one, store data completely and accurately. Yeah, of course, because you need to store this kind of data and for future use, and you cannot only store part of it. You need hold the whole stuff, the completeness. Next one, create and maintain records of system storage activities. Like, of course, this one is very straightforward. Like when you start straight and which which decide, and you need have some ID, you need have some clarify for this record. And next one, criteria for privacy. The privacy principle one. Criteria related to notice and communication objective related to privacy. So this one is just this is only a principle, only a criteria, not a principle. So related to any activity or information related to notice and communication, they are related to privacy. So P1.1, the entity provides notice to data subjects about its privacy practice to meet the entity's objectives related to privacy. The notice is updated and communicated to data subjects in a timely manner for changes to entity privacy practice, including changes in the use of personal information to meet the entity's objective related privacy. So how can we achieve this one, this principle? Communicates to data subject and provides notes to data subject. Next one, cover entity and activities in notice, and use clear language and present current privacy notice in a location easily found by data subjects. Review the privacy notice, communicates changes to notice, retain priority notice. So this whole principle, all the points of focus, like since you have what is a data subject, by the way? It's like a individual who has who can be identified, and you have some private information about him, about this individual. So you need have corresponding mechanism and protection measures. So this is a point of this criteria. All these considerations you need to communicate to this data subject. You need to let him know, like you need like you can prepare an agreement for him, so he knows, he's aware of what kind of information you are using, you are holding, and you need have measures to give him this agreement, this notice, and this is some matters you need to cover in the notice, and you need have policy, how you store, how you retain, and protect this notice. And every time you change this notice, you need let the data subject know. Next one, privacy criteria related to choice and consent. The entity communicates choices available regarding the collection, use, retention, disclosure, and dispose of personal information to the data subject, and the consequences, if any, of each choice. Explicit consent for the collection, use, retention, just and the entity basis for determining implicit consent for the collection, use, retention, disclosure, and disposal of personal information is documented. So, any action the entity is going to do with some personal information of the data subject, the entity should should let the data subject know, should have this agreement in place and have the consent from the data subject. So how to achieve this? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of focus. The first one, communicates. Yeah, you need talk to the data subject. Second, communicates consequence of denying and withdrawing consent. Of course, this is part of the communication. Like if you do not agree, we cannot provide a certain type of service to you. Obtains implicit or explicit consent. Implicit or explicit consent is obtained from data subject or before the time personal. Yeah, you need to have consent. You need have consent before you are doing any action to individual's personal information. So this consent can be implicit or can be explicit. And every time when you get the consent, you need have a record for that. And if the agreement which you have the consent from data subject is changed, you need to let them know if you have some new purpose, new uses. Next point, obtain explicit consent for sensitive information. So some information may be some kind, there are a certain regulation, certain compliance, have policy to this information, then you need obtain explicit consent. The last one, obtains consent for data transfer. Of course, this is one of the circumstances you have to have in mind every time you are gonna transfer the information of any data subject. You need obtain consent. Okay, now let's check piece 3.1. Personal information is collected consistently with the entity's objectives related to privacy. There are 4 points of focus. Limits the collection of personal information. Collects information by fair and lawful means. Collects information from reliable sources. Informs data subjects when additional information is acquired. So this principle is focusing on collecting personal information. Like all the rules how to collect information should be aligned with entities privacy related goal. The entity should only gather the personal information that is necessary for its goals. Avoid any unnecessary collection. This one collects information by fair and lawful means. Of course, you can only collect information from data subjects legally, without any misleading or false. The third one collects information from reliable sources. So when the entity is gathering information from others, not directly from individual, you need check these sources. So fairly and lawfully. And inform data subjects when additional information is acquired. Of course, you need let your user know. You cannot collect without their permission. This one, P3.2, for information requiring explicitly consent. The entity communicates the need for such consent as well as the consequences of a failure to provide consent for the request for personal information, and obtain the consent prior to the collection of information to meet the entity objectives related to privacy. So any information which require explicit consent, the organization need tell data subjects, and also if the user refuse, you need to tell the user like what will be the consequence. Like there are some function, some service you cannot use without this agreement. So these are the specific measures to two suggestions: inform data subjects of consequence, and documents explicit consent to retain information. Yeah, you need provide this document to users, and you need have this record. P4.1, entity limits the use of personal information to the purpose identified in the entity's objectives related to privacy. So you can only use personal information for intended purpose. Like you have tell user explicitly what kind of information you're gonna gather and how you're gonna use. You need have data subjects agreement, and you cannot use it illegally or in any way user do not know. Next one, the entity retained information consistent with entity objective related to privacy. Yeah, you need store the information, you need gather the information, but you cannot keep them keep the information longer than the regulation, the corresponding requirements of regulation. You need dispose all the information after that, and during the time you are holding the personal information of data subjects, you need to have protections. Next one, the entity securely dispose of personal information to meet entity's objective related to privacy. This is a complement for last principle. So after you are using, you need to dispose. And how to do that? There are three advices. The first point is capture, identify, and flag requested for deletion. Requests for deletion for PI are captured, and information related to the request is identified and flagged for destruction to support the achievement of entity's objective related to privacy. So let's discuss these three together. So the second one, dispose of, destroy, and redacts personal information. Personal information no longer retained is anonymized, disposed, destroyed in a manner that prevents loss, theft, misuse, or unauthorized access. Destroy personal information. So how you're gonna deal with the information you are no longer you no longer have right to retain. You need to dispose, and how you gonna dispose? Uh, you need have a mechanism, a system to set some alerts for this deletion, and you need have a corresponding system for the deletion request from data subject. And when you need have system to destroy, and when you are destroying, you need destroy this information appropriately, safely, securely, lawfully. Next one, privacy criteria related to access. The entity grants identified and authenticate data subjects the ability to access their stored personal information for review, and upon request provide physical and electronic copies of that information to data subjects to meet the entity's objective related to privacy. If access is denied, data subjects are informed of the denial and the reason for such denial as requested to meet the entity's objective related. So when you grant a syndicate, how the data subjects gonna access their information? You need have some constraints, and you need consider the whole process. Like if one data subject is requesting to access their information, like then which part of this information they are allowed to access, because some information are legally are their personal information, but some related information saved together might be like entities record, like event record or delete. So you need to figure out which part they can access. So respond to data controller request. So if they have requests, you need to have corresponding respond system. Authenticate data subject's identity. The identity of the data subject who requests access to their personal information is authenticated before they are given access to that information. So before you are giving the information out, you are giving the information out, you need you need to check if this user if it's using a legal authenticate secure way and account. Next, permits data subjects access to their personal information. Yeah, if they are requesting, and you need to give them this permission. They are allowed by law to check their own information, and provides understandable for a personal information within reasonable time. Yeah, you need process. You need respond their request on time. Informs data subject if access is denied. When data subjects are denied access to their personal information, the entity informs them of denial and the reason for the denial in a timely manner, unless prohibited by law or regulation. So if there is no special reason, no specific reason, so you need to tell the user why your request get denied. Yeah, which is very reasonable. P5.2, the entity corrects, amends, or appends personal information based on information provided by data subjects and communicates such information to third parties as committed or requested to meet the entity's objective related to privacy. If a request for correction is denied, the subjects are informed of denial and the reason for such denials denied to meet entity's objective related to privacy. So this one is same. So if the user wants to edit their information, you need to respond. And if they are denied, you need to tell them why and what's the reason. And permits data subjects to update or correct information. Yeah, this is their personal rights. You need give them. You need provide this system like these measures they can edit, they can amend, communicates denial of correction. Yeah, if their changing request is denied, you need to explain. And next one, this criteria, privacy criteria related to disclosure and notification. So this part is focusing on all the principles here are focusing on disclosure and notification. So when you are designing your security system related to disclosure and notification, you got to check this part. All the guidelines are here. P61.1. The entity discloses personal information to third parties with the explicit consent of data subjects, and such consent is obtained prior to disclosure to meet the entity's objectives related to privacy. So to achieve this principle, you have 4 guideline points of focus. Communicate privacy policy to third party. Disclose personal information only when appropriate. Disclose personal information only to appropriate third party. Disclose information to third party for new purpose and use. So when you are sharing your users' personal information to third party, you got to let your user know, and you can have the agreement like in advance, so you have the right to share this information. And when you are sharing, you need to talk to the third party you are sharing this information with. You need check their privacy information. You got you got to figure out if they are gonna retain this information securely and appropriately. And every time you disclose information, you need you check like the third party's policy, like if they are gonna keep this securely and they are not using this for for inappropriate way reasons. And unless that, you are not allowed to share, and only appropriate third party. This is all the same. All these points you need check the third party if they are okay, and disclose information to third party for new purpose and use. And you have to have the consent from data subjects when they the party is using this information for some new purpose. You gotta let your user know. So P6.2, the entity creates and retains a complete, accurate, and timely record of authorized disclosure of personal information to meet entity's objective related to privacy. Creates and retains record. So every time you share data subject's information, you got have a record like who you have shared and when and why and how. So if anything bad happened or the user want to know in the future, so you can have a log, you have a clear record. 6.3, the entity creates and retain complete, accurate, and timely record of detected or reported unauthorized disclosure of personal information to meet entities' objective related to privacy. So when the entity creates and retains record of detected or reported unauthorized disclosure, when you detect that, you need make a record, then you can analyze. So this is a crucial step for the improvements of your detection of your detection and protection mechanism. So part P6.4, privacy 6.4, the entity obtains privacy commitments from vendor and other third party who has access to personal information to meet entity's objective related to privacy. The entity assesses those parties' compliance on a periodical and as needed basis and take corrective action if necessary. So now you have your users' information which belong to them, and you are sharing the information with third party. And are these third parties keeping these information securely and legally? You need check. So how to do that? Like you need evaluate their compliance with privacy commit, and you need if they did some bad thing, like they're using some information inappropriately, you need correct them, and you need obtain commitment to report unauthorized disclosure. So if any unauthorized disclosure happened, you gotta know, because you are required to let your user know, let the data subjects know. So the third party should promise to you, they're gonna tell you if any unauthorized disclosure happened. 6.5, entity obtains commitments from vendors and other third parties with access to personal information to notify the entity in the event of actual or suspected unauthorized disclosure of personal information. Such notifications are reported to appropriate personnel and act in accordance with established incident response procedures to meet entity objective related to privacy. So this principle is when there are some like attack or unauthorized disclosure happened, you got have a report, you got have a record, and you got have some respond system. How you're gonna deal with? You need to be prepared. So yeah, you need to remediate misuse, and you need to report this. I guess since you have the commitment from the third party, so you need to report this, and who you are reporting to. You are reporting maybe internally, or maybe there is some regulation requires you to tell your data subjects. Next principle: the entity provides notification of breaches and incidents to affect the subject's regulator and meet the entity's objective related to privacy. Identity reporting requirements provide notice of breach. So, if any breach happened, you gotta tell your subject and you gotta tell a regulator, any stakeholders. So how you're gonna report? You gotta figure out like what kind of information should be included in this report. So you need identity reporting requirements. Next one, the entity provides data subjects with an accounting of personal information held. Provides data subject with an accounting of personal information held and the disclosure of data subjects' personal information upon the data subject's request to meet entities' objective related. There are 3 points of focus. Respond to data controller request. This is about the engagement with entity and its subject. Identify type of personal info and handling process. Capture, identify, and communicates request for information. So data controller requests for uncontained personal information held in accordance with service agreement and privacy. So you got have some measures prepared to request to handle the request, to respond, and there are quite a few kind of personal information. You need to figure out what kind of type are there and how you are gonna share this information. You need to figure out the process and capture, identify, and communicate the request for information. Requests for an accounting of personal information held. And disclosure of data subjects. So when you are facing these kind of requests, you need have mechanism to deal with. You need to know how you're gonna capture, how you can identify, and how you're gonna share. So you can still make everything, the whole process safe and secure and lawfully. They are still under your privacy goals. Next is it's a privacy criteria related to quality. So there are only one principle and 2 points of focus under this criteria. The entity collects and maintains accurate, up-to-date, complete, and relevant personal information to meet entity's objective. So all the engagements between the entity and its user, its customer, you need all the information. You gather all the information from your user, and you need make sure this information is accuracy and correct. You need check they are up to date. And so when you are provide service to the data subjects, you are using you are doing using the right input and give the right output. Next one, privacy. Uh, all this one, personal information is relevant to purpose of for which it's to used. So you should only this is a little bit like a repeatable for to a principle before a point of focus before, like you need to gather the information necessary and relevant. You should not gather uh, more than that. Privacy criteria related to monitoring and enforcement. So every entity has its monitoring and enforcement system and mechanism, and in this process, when you are implement this a process for receiving, addressing, resolving, and communicating the resolution of inquiry, complaints, disputes from the subjects and other, and periodically monitor compliance to meet objectives, your objective, correction, and other necessary actions related to identify deficiency and made to take in a timely manner. So you are facing all the this kind of request, so you need monitor, and when you realize there are some deficiency, you need have some response, you need correct, you need have some corrections. So communicates to data subjects or data controller. Data subjects or data controller are informed about how to contact the entity with inquiry, complaints, and disputes. So you got to let your user know how they can give you feedback, how they can speak for themselves, address inquiries, complaints, and you need have this mechanism in place to record this, so you can provide better service. You can deal with the feedback of user. So documents and communicates dispute resolution and recurses. Each complaint is addressed and resolution is documented and communicated to the individual. So how in every case, how you dealt with users' complaints, how you solve the issue, you should document it, and you should document that, so next time you can do better. And documents and reports compliance, reviews results compliance with objective related to privacy, reviewed and documented results such as review to implement if problem identified, remediation plan are developed. So there are specific compliance for specific industry. You need follow the guidance, you need follow the requirements of the compliance, check your own system, your privacy protections. So if any deficiency is found, you need have some plan, you need have some improvements. Next point, documents and reports instance of instance of non-compliance with objectives related to privacy are documented and reported, and if needed, corrective and disciplinary measures are taken on a timely basis. So after you checked your compliance, like if you found any illegal, any missing of protection mechanism, you need have some you need correct the system, you need improve. Last one, performs ongoing monitoring. Ongoing procedures are performed for monitoring the effectiveness of controls over personal information and for taking timely corrective action when necessary. Yeah, so you need to have a monitoring in place. Like right now, you need to monitor all the process. Like if there are attacks, there are hazard, there are some unauthorized actions on your data subjects personal information, and if there are any, you need to respond, you need to stop, you need to protect the personal information you retained from the threats. So that's all the criteria of trust services criteria. Okay, thank you.